Guys, welcome back to the video. So in this video, we're going to be talking more about the Batman 2. I know it's been a while since my last Batman theory video, but we're back today doing the Q&A. So I took a bunch of your guys' comments, questions, and theories from the last Batman videos, and today I'm going to be answering and replying to all of them. Now, if you want your comment to be featured in the next Batman theory video, let me know your comment, question, theory, whatever you want to talk about regarding the movie. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to feature it in the next few videos. And also, before you get into it, if you guys are new in here and you enjoy all my movie and TV show reviews, reactions, breakdowns, as well as all of these Batman videos, make sure to subscribe button notification on so you don't miss any type of new video or I go live. But don't waste more time, let's get into it. So we're gonna start the video off by these two comments that I found very interesting on one of my Batman videos, where this guy made his own synopsis of the Batman 2 and 3. So I'm gonna read out the one for the second movie, and then we'll talk about it, and then the third movie, and then we'll talk about it. So Shad Dwida said, the Batman 2 City of Fear synopsis: 1 year after the Riddler's attack, a terrorist named Scarecrow threatens to release poison gas on Gotham. Batman will have to hunt him down while fighting a bloody fight with a mercenary Bane, who's helping Scarecrow in exchange for more doses of the super anabolic venom. To understand Scarecrow's game, Bruce will have to enter the confines of Arkham Asylum, but the situation worsens when his old flame, Andrew Beamont, returns to Gotham. There's also a synopsis for the Batman 3, which again I'll talk about in just a second, but this synopsis, I find it very interesting. The only thing is, as much as I do want Scarecrow, I don't know how much they're going to implement him as a main villain or a key player in this trilogy. I could see him being someone on the side like Penguin, because obviously we know Penguin isn't a main character of the Batman 1. He's going to be a key franchise player, but again, he's not really a key player for the Batman movie itself. So I could see Scarecrow being more of a key player for the Arkham Asylum show, and then that leads into the Batman 2, or that's after the Batman 2, whichever way they decide to go about it. But I really just don't see the pairing of Scarecrow and Bane, but I think that they're two very interesting characters, and if you pair them together, I think you can make an interesting combo, but I just don't know if that would actually work on screen. But speaking of Bane, I do like the idea of Bane working with Scarecrow, and the reasoning that Shad gave here about how he wants the poison, the anabolic poison. I think that's a very cool idea, and honestly a great way to relate the characters, which I haven't really heard from many other comments. And I also like that he mentions Scarecrow's game and how Bruce would have to enter the confines of Arkham Asylum. I think that's a very interesting premise of Bruce Wayne himself entering, not Batman, and not kind of as a detective. But now to the synopsis that Shai Dua gave for the Batman 3, he titled it The Batman 3 End of an Era. 4 years after the end of the war and Bane's imprisonment, Gotham has forged an everlasting peace with each other. Gotham City is now a city that receives less crime in the whole world. In the midst of this, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle have married one another. Together, the people of Gotham have made the world powerful than it was before. Unfortunately, that peace that has thrived throughout the world is drawing its dying breath. The reputation of the North and its heroes has reached far and wide, particularly to someone who despises the idea of very peace. Enter Joker, formerly known as Arthur Fleck. He's the darkest threat that Gotham now faces. He holds great prejudice towards the Waynes and is in firm belief that he must be imprisoned or executed to fulfill his dream. Any alternative ideas that involve peace are unacceptable to him, so Joker brings with him an armada of elite villains, and with him enemies, both old and new, join Joker to exact revenge and destroy everything Bruce Wayne and his people hold dearly. If Joker and his enemies in Gotham succeed in their mission, everyone in Gotham would be killed and enslaved, and the whole world would be left in ashes. This war would change the world, and it would forever be immortalized in history. Witness the end of the Batman story and the war that'll fall upon Gotham City. This synopsis had my mind blown when I first read this. I just think it's too grand. First of all, I want to point that out, but just the scale of this and how much torture this would cost Bruce Wayne, especially this being in the end of the trilogy, after having this whole arc of Bruce finally accepting himself, and then all of these villains coming back together. I think that would be huge, and I think that would be super interesting. But again, at the end of the day, I just think this is way too big scale of a story. I don't think that it's ever going to be world ending in this Matt Reeves movie universe, because I just don't really see that scale, at least coming from the first movie. Again, they could completely switch it up in the second movie, and I wouldn't mind if it's a natural transition, but from what we have right now, this just seems a little bit too big. But I really like the idea of Joker here. Now, I don't really know what role Joker is going to play in the entire franchise. Now, assuming we're going to get a trilogy, I personally want 4 or 5 movies. I might talk about this later in the video, or just make a completely separate video on it if I don't get to it here, but I definitely feel like in the 4th and 5th movie, if Batman takes slightly more of a back seat and you're introducing a new character, maybe another character that kind of rises the ranks, Robin type of character, that's when you can kind of get to the bigger scale, kind of bringing Batman out of retirement and making all of that feel earned. But I feel like without any huge time jumps, you can't really make your end of an era really worthwhile. But at the same time, I will say, he said 4 years after the end of the war, and obviously this is technically going to be 5 years after the first movie, because in the last synopsis he said a year after Riddler's imprisonment. So I think this would be a really cool idea. Again, I just think it depends on the time frames of the movie, and again, I just think this is a little bit too big scale, but I like the idea of Joker breaking out villains or bringing villains to Gotham, especially a Joker that's on the side of the one that we got in the Joker Todd Phillips movie. That's not really a physical Joker, and it doesn't seem like Barry Keoghan's Joker is going to be a physical Joker either. It seems like he's going to be more of a tortured and honestly just more of a mentally scarred Joker, and that's how his character is going to be played out in this universe, which I personally really like that idea, especially if we're going to kind of implement him into the Arkham Asylum show or whatever horror show they're going with there. I think it would be very interesting to mesh all of these different versions of Joker together, because I think Barry Keoghan could be the perfect mix of what Heath Ledger gave us and Joaquin Phoenix gave us on like mental and physical aspects. And bringing together villains is something I feel like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker would do, but Heath Ledger's Joker would kind of be like, oh, I want to do this all on my own type thing. And I think we're going to see Arthur Fleck in the Todd Phillips Joker 2 movie kind of more interact with other people in Arkham Asylum, even though Joker 2 is being told from Harley Quinn's perspective from what we do know. That's pretty much it for those two synopsis ones. I found those very, very interesting, and let me know what you guys think of those synopsises in the comments down below, because this guy, it looks like, put a lot of effort into them, and I like the detail, and I think honestly you can take parts of this and actually make it work. Now this next comment is from Dustin, aka Dustin, and they said, I want to see a proper horror film with a monster from one of these movies, such as Man-Bat, Solomon Grundy, or Killer Croc. No good reason exists why we can't have a super powered monster villain in this universe. And I completely agree. I picked this comment just so I could solely talk about the fact that this universe has so much potential with the spin-off side of things. Obviously, you know, we're already getting the Arkham Asylum horror type spin-off show, which I don't really think that's going to be an individual monster type of thing. I definitely think that's going to be more of a general world building Gotham thing that they can throw on HBO Max and still expand out the Batman universe. But we're also getting the Penguin show, which is going to expand the mob boss world in the Batman universe. But I think that what you can do to make honestly just villains in general more intriguing throughout this franchise is give us these horror and honestly genre bending movies that aren't necessarily just superhero or supervillain shows or movies. They're actually genre specific, like for example a horror Killer Croc movie. Now Killer Croc is just one example, but I just think in general, I think that Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers should definitely look into expanding the universe with even movies outside of the Batman movies. But the thing is, I don't really think they're going to do that. I think they're definitely going to stick to shows, which again, I wouldn't mind a mini series, 6 episodes, each an hour long, a Killer Croc or Bane or Joker. Not Joker. You get the point though. Any villain to help out expand these universes and actually give us more context on all of these characters without just having to wait for the movies. I mean, we know this universe is going to expand over at least 8 years, maybe even 10 to 12, depending on how long they take for just the Batman 2. We have the Penguin show, the Arkham show, and another rumored untitled one, which we're assuming is Catwoman. But honestly, I'm hoping it's a villain one, maybe even for the 3rd movie, so that we have something built up. And I think that's exactly what the Arkham show is going to do. And that's why I'm very excited for the Arkham show, because I feel like with the Arkham show, again, it's that baseline potential of just building up this world for something that's going to be used directly in the next movie, but you're just building it up here and giving us so much more context so that by the time we get to the movie, we're already super invested in these characters. And I think it would work mostly for characters that have something that we have something to relate to. For example, characters in Arkham Asylum that are going crazy, and actually get us to be invested into this character, even if they're completely evil. Just a random example, Harley Quinn, completely just batshit insane, crazy, wild. At least let us explore her side of the story. Let us see her side and not the point of view from Batman. But even when we get to that Batman movie, whenever Harley Quinn is in there, if she's in there, if they use it for the use of my example, say hypothetically whenever they do end up using her, then we have obviously the Batman's angle, because this is a detective noir story. We're seeing it from the Batman's point of view, but we in the inside are conflicted because we've seen Harley Quinn's past from herself, and we've seen it in a 6-part miniseries, completely detached story-wise, overall story-wise from that Batman movie. And it gives us 6 whole hours, however long you want to make the series, minimum 6 whole hours to get us connected to this character, and it'll just enhance that next movie, whatever movie they're in, 10 times more. But yeah, in the comments, let me know what you guys think of expanding the universe using TV shows, especially genre bending ones that aren't necessarily just flat out superhero movies or supervillain movies, more like just horror movies or comedy movies. Something that is a mix of superhero and another classic genre. Because again, I think that would be a very interesting take on expanding expanding a universe. Now, the next comment is from Finn Sebastian Shaw, and they said, this would be a good idea for the Batman sequel. It'll introduce new characters and flesh out the law for Gotham Beyond. You can have Bruce and the new DA Harvey Dent set up against Lincoln Marsh as he attempts to take over Gotham City as mayor on behalf of the Court of Owls. He befriends Bruce Wayne for his own personal motive, as Bruce Wayne is trying to integrate his Wayne persona back into society. It would be good to have the Batman come across Hugo Strange as a point of interest of the past, a man who's a master of secrets, a figurehead within the Court of Owls who did the unthinkable experiments for them. They created the conspiracy of an unknown child of the Waynes, former head of the Arkham Asylum when Martha Wayne was there due to her breakdown. He helped raise Lincoln Marsh and alter ego, the Owl Man, with the help of the Court of Owls. Mr. Freeze would be the main antagonist villain created by the events of the previous movie. A freak accident during the experiment that took place in one of the locations that the Riddler had blown up during the end of the previous movie. Mr. Freeze is motivated by revenge on the Riddler, which leads to the escape of all prisoners from Arkham Asylum at the end of the movie. Mr. Freeze is the casualty of madness, blaming Batman for slowing him down, which unknowingly put Mr. Freeze's loved ones at life's at risk, who he's trying to save by any means necessary. We would have Lincoln, aka Owlman, attempt to kill Harvey Dent, who uncovers the lie, and then the connection to Bruce Wayne and the personal vendetta against him, but in turn tragically becomes Two-Face character for the third movie. The Court of Owls tries to manipulate Mr. Freeze as the main villain as a smokescreen or a false flag, which helps Lincoln, who is the big boss, who is known as Owlman, for the new champion of the Court of Owls. Is he family or not? I know that was a lot, but I really like this comment. That's why I picked it, because I think there's a lot of, again, great pieces here. I think the Harvey Dent stuff, I'm honestly still kind of pissed that they didn't talk about it at the very end of the last movie. I very much wanted them to introduce something with Harvey Dent at the very end of the movie, even if it was just something small on the television or on the radio. I just wanted something very tiny hinting towards Harvey Dent. So maybe that means they're not using him, maybe they still are, who knows. But I really like the way that Sebastian Shaw decided to actually integrate Harvey Dent into this universe and kind of connecting it to the Court of Owls, which honestly I'm kind of also conflicted, because it seems like there's a lot going on here. Obviously you have Hugo Strange, you have your Court of Owls, you have your Harvey Dent, you also have all of your Lincoln Marsh and Mr. Freeze type stuff. So there is a lot here, including also the Arkham Asylum breakout stuff. There's a lot going on here. So I honestly think that we could split just this entire comment up into two separate movies. But the main thing I do agree with here is the Mr. Freeze stuff. I think it's very interesting, like how you can connect it back to the other movie without us even knowing about it. For example, like you said, he could have been affected by Riddler blowing stuff up at the end of last movie. And I think that would be super interesting, us being able to see a different POV of what the Riddler did in the last movie. Maybe even that's the opening for the Batman 2. The opening of the Batman 2 could literally just be a replay of the final act, or kind of like a sum through of the final act of the Batman 1. But now it's from the actual citizens of Gotham POV, not Batman, not Riddler, but then we specifically see Mr. Freeze, and that's how we get his origin. I don't know, I think that would be pretty interesting. I don't really know the specifics of it, but I think that would be a very cool idea. And overall, I just think it would be the perfect way to mesh the two movies and make it seamlessly transition. This could also go into the time jump, because Mr. Freeze can take time to himself to kind of build all of his gear and stuff like that, and that can be the time between the time jump, obviously, because we have the flood and we have the martial law in effect and all that kind of stuff at the end of the Batman. And so you have to have some level of time jump, in my opinion. And so this would also work very well for Mr. Freeze's character development that's off screen. And for the Harvey Dent stuff, I actually really like the way that it plays out through the movie from what this description is saying. But again, I think Harvey Dent, Court of Owls, and Mr. Freeze, I think that's just a little bit too much, especially looking back at what they did for the Batman, and that movie was already almost 3 hours long. Unless they really speed through this one and kind of prioritize overall story and overall world building story, then we'll get all three of these things. But I feel like if we're taking it slow and focusing on primarily like individual character development, then I don't think we can fit all three of these big things into one movie. Well, it could work if you have Harvey Dent just have a very minor role, like literally just like mentioned, or like literally like 2 or 3 minutes in the movie and like barely in the movie. But then at the same time, it wouldn't really feel earned whenever he becomes Two-Face. So we have to pick and choose here, I think. Sebastian Shaw also left a secondary comment where he expands on it. I'm editing this video right now, and I forgot to mention this in the top of the comment because I just copy and pasted the main part of it. But Sebastian Shaw did say, "Thank you, bro. I'm a nerd at heart." And that just reminded me, I wanted to thank you guys all for the support on the channel, because I wouldn't be able to share all of my nerdy opinions if it wasn't for you guys sharing all of your nerdy opinions. And again, I always appreciate the support, and I'm always down to talk about anything nerdy. Again, leave all of your thoughts on literally anything I ever talk about in a YouTube video in the comments, and I always try to respond to every single one. But as always, again, thank you so much for the support, but back to the video. And he says, "If I had time time to add Scarecrow. I think he'd be an excellent addition to the story. Maybe he's a new head of Arkham, following the footsteps of his father, who is a close friend of Hugo Strange. I think it's good to sprinkle characters that may not be their alter egos yet, and I believe all of this can be done within 3 to 4 minutes. It would be good to have Easter eggs, maybe Professor Pig, Mad Hatter, or Victor Zsasz, or even the ventriloquist. He could be a good segue into the Penguin TV show for seasons 2 or 3. The rise of Scarface. But my main aim that I would like to see happen in the franchise is metahumans. I want to see Killer Croc. I want to see Clayface. The only thing I'm a bit iffy about is adding the Talon, due to the fact that I think Batman would probably get dosed up in year 2 to get fully trained against ninjas. Due to the fact that I think Batman would probably get dosed up in 2 years to go against fully trained ninjas. So there's a few things I want to mention from this comment. Firstly, I don't think the Penguin show is going to have 3 seasons. It'll be 2 max from what I'm thinking, because timeline wise, we already have the Batman 1, right? Then we have the Penguin show, then say we have the Batman 2 and then the Arkham show, and then the Batman 3, and then hypothetically 1 show between 3 and 4, and then a 4th movie, and that's the end. I think that could work, but that's a huge hypothetical, because even the Arkham show, we don't know if that's coming before or after the 3rd movie or 2nd movie. We don't know what the real timeline is looking like. But I do agree with the Arkham Asylum Easter eggs thing, and I think that's primarily what I want from the Arkham Asylum show. It's not that I primarily want Easter eggs themselves, but it's the fact that I want a lot of Gotham's corners explored. I think that the Arkham Asylum show would be the perfect time to actually go out and expand your universe very, very quickly. You can do it within just 5 to 6 hours of content for the universe as a whole, which in the grand scheme of things is pretty much a speed run for expanding. We also mentioned earlier in the video talking about Scarecrow a little bit, but I do believe that Scarecrow would be a good addition to the universe. I just think they're gonna have to implement him directly through Arkham Asylum, and I like the way that you're saying that you should sprinkle in characters without their alter egos just yet. I think that's great, especially in an Arkham-like show where you have 6 hours to actually go through these characters. You can introduce them as just their regular selves, and even in the future movies, you can have flashbacks to their regular selves because we've seen them before. It's not something like it's brand new or anything like that. But guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the video up here. Thank you to everyone who left comments on the previous Batman videos for me to react to here. Again, leave any of your theories, questions, comments, concerns about the Batman 2 and the future of this franchise in the comments down below. You can also react to whatever we talked about in this video, and I'll continue talking about that specific thing in future videos. I also did quickly want to thank you guys for all the support you guys have been showing on the channel lately. It's been a lot of fun to make these videos, and I love hearing all of your guys' thoughts. This is one of my favorite series to make videos for on the channel, because I'm pretty much interacting directly with you guys, talking about your opinions, my opinions. It's just a lot of fun. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.